Detach or be destroyed. The Stoics mastered the art of emotional control, and if there's one lesson they teach, it's this: when someone stops valuing you, your greatest power is walking away without looking back. If she's distant, if she's lost interest, if she treats you like an option, it's time to detach. Not with bitterness, not with desperation, but with unshakable discipline. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to free yourself from emotional chains, reclaim your power, and walk away like a man who knows his worth. So watch till the end, like, subscribe, and if you've been through this, share your experience in the comments. Let's get into it. Chapter 1: Recognizing the Signs. Detachment begins with a stark and uncomfortable realization, accepting the truth about where you stand in her life. Women rarely say outright when their feelings have shifted or when they no longer value you as they once did. Instead, they communicate it subtly, often through actions, behaviors, and unspoken cues. These aren't mere coincidences, they are deliberate signs. The key is to stop ignoring them and start paying attention. The first and most telling sign is the change in communication. Conversations that once flowed naturally now feel forced, as though she's only engaging with you out of obligation rather than genuine interest. Her responses become shorter, less enthusiastic, and more sporadic. The warmth you once felt in her tone is replaced by detachment. When she used to share her day or seek your opinion, now she gives vague answers or none at all. And while you might still text her eagerly, she takes hours, sometimes days, to reply, all while remaining visibly active on social media or other platforms. This is not an accident. It's a clear signal that you are no longer her priority. Her affection also begins to fade, and it's not just in the words she says or doesn't say. It's in her actions. She stops initiating contact, avoids planning time together, and seems indifferent about the things that once excited her about your relationship. The once present physical connection becomes sporadic or disappears entirely. Fewer hugs, fewer kisses, less intimacy. These aren't just coincidences, they are a reflection of her dwindling interest and emotional investment. Body language is another unspoken but powerful indicator. When she's with you, she may avoid eye contact or seem distracted, as though her mind is elsewhere. The little gestures that once conveyed care and affection, like reaching for your hand or leaning in when you spoke, are replaced by a growing distance. You can feel the shift not only in how she interacts with you, but also in how she positions herself, literally and emotionally, further away from you. Then there's the inconsistency. At one moment, she might seem engaged or even affectionate, giving you hope that things are returning to normal. But the next, she pulls away, leaving you confused and questioning what you did wrong. This pattern isn't accidental. It's a sign that her emotions are no longer aligned with yours. It's the push and pull behavior of someone who is unsure or uninterested, but doesn't have the courage or doesn't feel the need to communicate that directly. One of the most painful signs is her growing emotional distance. You can be sitting next to her, yet feel like you're miles apart. The conversations that once made you feel connected now feel empty or obligatory. She no longer confides in you, asks about your day, or shows interest in your thoughts or feelings. The bond you once shared begins to unravel, leaving you feeling like a stranger in the relationship. Social media behavior often reveals more than she might admit verbally. She may be constantly online, posting updates, engaging with others, and appearing carefree. Yet, when it comes to responding to your messages or acknowledging your presence, there's silence. This isn't just a sign of being busy, it's a deliberate choice to deprioritize you. It's her way of showing, without saying, that you are no longer at the forefront of her mind. The biggest mistake most men make is ignoring these signs. They convince themselves that things will eventually go back to the way they were, that this is just a phase or that their efforts will reignite the connection. But reality doesn't work that way. Relationships thrive on mutual effort, respect, and emotional reciprocity. When one person withdraws, the balance is broken, and no amount of overcompensating on your part will restore it. Recognizing the signs is not about placing blame or succumbing to bitterness. It's about accepting what is and taking responsibility for your own well-being. Ignoring the signs won't change them, it will only prolong your suffering. You can't force someone to value you, and pretending not to notice their indifference won't make it go away. The longer you cling to false hope, the more you lose yourself in the process. Detachment requires courage, the courage to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. It's about acknowledging that no matter how much you care for her, her actions are telling you the truth her words might not. And that truth is liberating, even if it hurts at first. Because once you recognize the signs, you can stop investing your time and energy into a situation that no longer serves you. You can redirect that energy toward yourself, toward healing, and toward building a life that isn't dependent on someone else's validation. Recognizing these signs is not about bitterness or anger, it's about clarity. It's about stepping out of denial and into a space where you can make decisions that honor your worth. Because in the end, the most empowering thing you can do is to stop playing a game you've already lost and start focusing on the game that truly matters, building a life where your happiness and self-respect are non-negotiable. Chapter 2: Why Detachment is the Ultimate Power Move. Nothing erodes a man's spirit faster than desperately chasing someone who has already made the decision to let him go. It's a slow and painful self-destruction, a cycle of losing yourself piece by piece as you cling to a woman who doesn't value you. Every moment spent analyzing her actions, wondering what went wrong, or hoping for her return takes a toll on your confidence, your self-esteem, and ultimately, your peace of mind. But there's a way to stop the damage, a way to rise above the chaos and reclaim control over your life. That way is detachment. Detachment is not just a response, it's a declaration of independence. It's the ultimate power move because it shifts the balance of control away from her and back to you. When you detach, you make the conscious decision to no longer be a pawn in her game. You are no longer available to be manipulated by her mixed signals or swayed by her breadcrumbs of attention. Instead, you reclaim your dignity, your energy, and your focus. The beauty of detachment lies in its quiet strength. It's not about revenge or playing hard to get, it's about self-preservation and self-respect. When you detach, you stop wasting time and emotional energy on someone who doesn't deserve it. You take all that energy and redirect it toward your own growth and betterment. Detachment sends a clear and undeniable message, not just to her, but to yourself and the world around you. To her, it's a statement that you will not beg for attention, that you will not tolerate disrespect, and that you will not settle for being someone's second choice. It shatters any illusion she might have had about your willingness to endure mistreatment or remain in a situation that diminishes your value. And here's the paradox: the moment you detach, the power dynamic shifts. When she realizes that she no longer has a hold over you, she may start questioning her own decisions. But by then, it doesn't matter. Detachment isn't about winning her back, it's about winning yourself back. To yourself, detachment is a profound act of self-validation. It tells you that your worth isn't tied to her approval or affection. You remind yourself that you are capable of thriving without her, that your happiness and success are not dependent on her presence in your life. You reclaim your emotional independence, freeing yourself from the mental prison of waiting for her to text, wondering if she still cares, or replaying old memories in your mind. And to the world, detachment signals confidence and strength. A man who walks away from what doesn't serve him is a man who understands his value. He's a man who refuses to let anyone dictate his worth or hold him hostage to their whims. This kind of self-assuredness attracts respect and admiration from others. It creates an aura of stability and control, qualities that naturally draw people who are aligned with your energy and values. But detachment isn't easy. It's a discipline that requires focus and resolve. The hardest part is breaking the cycle of dependency. When you've been emotionally invested in someone, detaching feels like severing a part of yourself. You'll feel the urge to reach out, to check on her, or to seek closure. You'll second-guess your decision and wonder if you've made a mistake. But every time you resist those urges, you grow stronger. Every time you choose to prioritize your peace over temporary comfort, you reinforce your self-worth. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop sacrificing your well-being for someone who doesn't reciprocate. It's about finding peace in the absence of closure, understanding that not all questions need answers, and accepting that some chapters must end for better ones to begin. It's not a cold or emotionless state, it's a balanced one. You let go not with bitterness or resentment, but with the calm confidence of a man who knows his worth. And here's the magic of detachment. The moment you let go, you create space in your life for something better. By freeing yourself from the emotional weight of someone who doesn't value you, you open the door to people and opportunities that truly align with your growth and happiness. Detachment isn't just about walking away from her, it's about walking toward a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more resilient. When you detach, you are no longer waiting for validation or reassurance from her. You're no longer stuck in the limbo of what if or the torment of why not. You're free. Free to focus on your goals, free to pursue your passions, and free to build a life that fulfills you. You stop living for someone else's approval and start living for yourself. In the end, detachment is about regaining control, not over her, but over yourself. It's about breaking free from the chains of emotional dependency and stepping into your power as a man who knows his value. It's about learning that true strength lies not in holding on, but in letting go with grace and purpose. And as you walk away, you'll find that the power of detachment isn't just in what you leave behind, it's in everything you gain when you choose yourself. Chapter 3: The Emotional Detox Process. Detachment is far more than simply walking away from someone. It's a transformative journey of reclaiming your emotional independence and rebuilding your sense of self. It's about cleansing yourself from the dependency that once tethered you to someone who no longer deserves your energy or attention. But make no mistake, emotional detox is not easy. It requires a deliberate and often painful commitment to breaking free from the habits, patterns, and memories that have kept you tied to a person who no longer serves your growth. The first step is acceptance, acknowledging the pain without letting it define you. Many men try to suppress their emotions, convincing themselves that they are unaffected, only to find that the unresolved feelings linger beneath the surface. Suppression leads to stagnation, but acknowledgement leads to healing. You allow yourself to feel the hurt, the disappointment, the betrayal, but you also make the conscious decision to not dwell there. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The goal is to process those emotions, not let them dictate your actions or keep you stuck in the past. Setting boundaries becomes your next line of defense. This is where most men falter because the emotional pull to break those boundaries can be overwhelming. When you miss her, it's tempting to check her social media, respond to a casual "how are you" text, or indulge in memories of the times you shared. But every time you give in, you're prolonging your own healing. Boundaries are not about punishing her, they're about protecting yourself. You draw a line and commit to it, no matter how difficult it feels in the moment. You remind yourself that boundaries are a form of self-respect, and sticking to them is a declaration that you value your own well-being above fleeting emotional gratification. Removing her presence from your life is a crucial part of this process. That means no lurking on her Instagram to see who she's with, no scrolling through old text conversations to relive the good times, and no responding to the breadcrumbs she might leave to pull you back in. It's a full disconnect, a conscious effort to eliminate every reminder of her existence from your daily life. The more you indulge in these habits, the longer you remain tethered to the emotional chains she represents. True detachment means letting go of every thread she once used to tie herself to you, no matter how small or insignificant it might seem. Once you've created that space, the next step is to fill it with growth, purpose, and passion. You take all the energy you once poured into her and redirect it toward your own development. Whether it's hitting the gym to transform your body, focusing on your career to build a legacy, or learning a new skill that excites you, every action you take toward self-improvement weakens the hold she had over you. Growth is not just a distraction, it's a way of proving to yourself that you are capable of thriving without her. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, not for her or anyone else, but for your own fulfillment. And when necessary, you cut ties completely. This step might feel extreme, but it's often the most liberating. If she tries to linger in your life, whether through casual messages, attempts to be just friends, or sporadic displays of affection, you shut the door without hesitation. You don't owe her explanations or second chances. Detachment demands a clean break, free from the games, manipulations, or half-hearted reconciliations that keep you trapped in a cycle of uncertainty. You make a firm decision to close that chapter of your life and refuse to reopen it, no matter what. Detachment is not about playing games or trying to one-up her. It's about reclaiming control over your mind, emotions, and future. It's about recognizing that your worth does not depend on her validation or approval. You are not the sum of her opinions, nor are you defined by her presence in your life. Emotional detox is a process of breaking free from the illusions and false narratives you once believed about your relationship and yourself. Every step of this journey requires discipline and courage. You'll face moments of doubt, temptation, and even regret. But each time you choose to prioritize your own growth over the comfort of familiarity, you're building a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Detachment is not a punishment, it's a gift you give to yourself. It's an act of self-love, a declaration that you deserve peace, happiness, and freedom from emotional entanglement. The beauty of the emotional detox process lies in its transformative power. What begins as a painful separation evolves into a profound rediscovery of who you are and what you're capable of. You emerge from it not as a broken man, but as a stronger, wiser, and more self-assured individual. And in the end, you'll realize that the greatest victory isn't just walking away, it's walking forward, unburdened and unstoppable. Chapter 4: Emotional Sabotage Tactics to Watch Out For. When a woman who once held control over you senses that you're pulling away, a shift in her behavior often occurs. It's not fueled by love or regret, but by the fear of losing the dominance she once had. Her tactics become deliberate, subtle, and often difficult to detect, designed to pull you back into her web without you even realizing it. She knows how to exploit your emotions, testing the limits of your detachment and resolve. It often begins with unexpected gestures. You might receive sweet, nostalgic texts out of the blue, messages that remind you of the good times, playing on your emotional vulnerabilities. These texts might seem harmless, even caring, but they are calculated moves to gauge your reaction. If you respond, even casually, you're giving her the feedback she's looking for, confirming that she still has some level of influence over you. She may also promise to change. She'll say all the right things, words that sound sincere and hopeful. I've been thinking a lot, and I realize I made mistakes, or I just want to fix things between us. But her actions? They'll betray the truth. Words alone cost nothing, and without consistent action to back them up, those promises are empty. They are tools designed to reel you back in, to make you question your decision to detach. If words and promises don't yield the desired effect, she may escalate her tactics, employing jealousy as her weapon of choice. Social media becomes her stage, a curated platform where she can post photos with other men or share updates that suggest she's moving on effortlessly. But don't be fooled. These displays are not genuine expressions of happiness or growth. They're traps, crafted to provoke a reaction from you. She wants you to feel the sting of jealousy, to doubt your worth and second-guess your decision to leave her behind. The moment you comment, react, or even silently stew over her posts, she's achieved her goal. You're emotionally re-engaged. For some, the strategy takes another turn. They'll offer the seemingly harmless olive branch of friendship. "I think we should stay friends," she might say, cloaking her intentions in a veil of kindness. On the surface, it sounds reasonable, even mature. But beneath it lies a more insidious motive. Friendship in this context isn't about mutual respect or care. It's about maintaining a foothold in your life. By keeping you emotionally tied, even in a platonic way, she ensures that you remain within reach while she gradually moves on at her own pace. It's a calculated way to have the best of both worlds, freedom for her and lingering attachment for you. Then there's the tactic of sudden bursts of affection and attention. Just when you've started to move on, she might reappear, showering you with compliments, attention, and affection. She might say things like, "I've been thinking about you a lot," or "If I miss the way things used to be." For a moment, it might feel like everything is returning to normal, like the love you thought was lost has been rekindled. But this sudden intensity is rarely sustainable. Once she feels reassured that you're still emotionally hooked, she'll retreat again, leaving you feeling confused and off balance. Understanding these manipulation tactics is crucial if you truly want to break free. Every reaction you give her, whether it's responding to a text, feeling hurt by her jealousy ploys, or agreeing to her terms of friendship, serves to re-establish her control. It reinforces the dynamic where she holds power and you remain emotionally tethered. Detachment demands that you recognize these tactics for what they are: games. And the key to winning? It's not playing at all. True detachment is about reclaiming your emotional independence. It's about resisting the urge to engage, no matter how tempting or validating her attempts might feel in the moment. By not reacting, you send a clear signal that her control over you has ended. It's not an easy process. The pull of familiar patterns and emotional triggers can be strong. But every time you choose silence over engagement, distance over proximity, and self-respect over fleeting comfort, you take another step toward freedom. Her efforts to manipulate, provoke, or confuse you only hold power if you allow them to. Recognizing her tactics as strategies designed to serve her interests, not yours, is the first step in breaking free. Detachment requires strength, clarity, and an unwavering commitment to yourself. It's a process of refusing to participate in the games she plays and instead focusing on your own healing, growth, and peace of mind. The moment you stop playing, you've already won. Chapter 5: How to Handle Emotional Sabotage. The key to handling emotional sabotage is simple: stay unbothered. No matter what she does, no matter what game she plays, you do not react. Because the moment you engage, the moment you take the bait, you're giving her exactly what she wants: control over your emotions. And that's the last thing you can afford to give her. Women who engage in emotional sabotage do it for one reason: power. They don't actually want you back. They don't actually care about fixing things. What they want is to see if they still have a hold over you. If they can still trigger a response. If they still matter in your world. And when you give in, when you reply, when you show anger, when you even acknowledge her attempts, you're proving to her that she still has access to your emotions. That's the game she plays. And the only way to win is to refuse to play. If she texts, you ignore. Not because you're bitter. Not because you're trying to get back at her. But because she has already shown you who she is, and you're smart enough to believe it. A woman who truly valued you wouldn't have put you in a position where you needed to detach in the first place. You don't need to block her. You don't need to argue. You simply need to stop engaging. Let her messages sit there, unanswered, gathering dust. If she tries to make you jealous, you don't give her the satisfaction of a reaction. She might start posting pictures with other men. She might start dropping hints about a new connection. She might even try to mention someone else just to see if it gets under your skin. But the Stoic man sees through this. He knows that a woman who has truly moved on doesn't feel the need to prove it to him. If she's flaunting someone new, it's not because she's happy, it's because she wants a reaction. And the moment you give her one, you let her win. So don't. Let her play her games alone. If she suddenly wants to talk, you don't entertain it. Out of nowhere, she might act like she cares again. Maybe she reaches out with a casual hey. Maybe she pretends to check in on you. Maybe she brings up an old inside joke, trying to spark familiarity. But the truth is, she doesn't miss you, she misses the attention you gave her. She misses the control. She misses knowing that she had a safety net. The second she senses you slipping away for good, she panics and tries to reel you back in. Do not fall for it. Because the moment she knows she has you again, she will lose interest all over again. A Stoic man does not engage in emotional games. He observes. He understands. And most importantly, he moves forward. He doesn't waste time analyzing her motives. He doesn't get caught up in what ifs. He doesn't look for hidden meanings in her messages. Because he knows that none of it matters. A woman who truly wanted to be with him wouldn't have made him question her in the first place. And here's the real test. What happens when you refuse to engage? She might get frustrated. She might push harder. She might even get angry. Why? Because she expected you to fall into the same trap as before. She expected you to react. She expected you to prove that she still mattered. But when you stay unbothered, when you refuse to acknowledge her attempts, you send a very clear message: you are no longer under her control. And that is the moment you win. Not because you beat her at some game, but because you've transcended it completely. You've shown her, and more importantly, yourself, that your emotions are yours alone. That you are not a puppet to be manipulated. That you do not belong to her anymore. By the time she realizes that you've truly moved on, that her games no longer work, that her tactics have no effect, you will be so far ahead, so emotionally free, that her regret will mean nothing to you. And that's true power. Chapter 6, the power of moving on without closure. Closure is one of the biggest lies you've been told. You don't need it. You don't need a final conversation. You don't need an explanation. You don't need an apology. What you need is discipline, the discipline to accept what has already been shown to you and to move forward without waiting for something that will never come. Most people stay stuck because they convince themselves they need closure, that without it, they can't move on. But the truth is, waiting for closure is just another way of staying attached. It's an excuse. It's a way of holding on to hope, of keeping one foot in the past, of refusing to fully let go. The idea that you need closure is just a trick your mind plays on you to delay the inevitable, which is accepting reality and moving forward without her. The harsh truth? You already have all the closure you need, her actions. She stopped prioritizing you. She stopped putting in effort. She chose to be distant. That is your closure. You don't need to hear it from her mouth because she has already shown you with her behavior. You don't need a grand explanation because there's nothing she could say that would change the outcome. And even if she did explain, what would it change? Would it undo the disrespect? Would it erase the way she lost interest? Would it suddenly make her the woman you thought she was? No. Stoicism teaches that the only thing you control in this life is your own response. You don't control what she does. You don't control how she feels. You don't control whether she comes back with regret. But you do control your reaction. And that means you have a choice: stay stuck in the past, chasing closure like a fool, or take control of your life and walk away without needing anything from her. The strongest men don't look back. They don't wait for validation. They don't need permission to move on. They see things for what they are, not for what they wish they could be. And when a woman stops valuing them, when she stops making an effort, they accept the message loud and clear, and they disappear without a trace. The best revenge isn't an angry text. It isn't showing her how much she hurt you. It isn't hoping she will one day come back and apologize. No, the best revenge is complete indifference. Not anger, not bitterness, not resentment, just the ability to walk away and never look back. Because when you reach that point, when you become a man who truly doesn't care anymore, that's when you win. The moment you no longer seek closure, you become free. Because closure isn't something you get from another person, it's something you give yourself. You get closure the moment you realize that her absence isn't a loss, it's a lesson. You get closure the moment you stop caring about why she left and start focusing on what's ahead. You get closure the moment you decide that your future is worth more than her memory. And let's be clear, moving on without closure doesn't mean you ignore your feelings. It means you confront them head on. You acknowledge the pain, process it, and then release it. You don't bottle it up, but you don't dwell on it either. Instead, you channel that energy into growth, into becoming the best version of yourself. The pain becomes fuel. The heartbreak becomes a lesson. And every step you take away from her is a step closer to the life you deserve. When you move on without closure, you become untouchable. You develop an inner strength that cannot be shaken by anyone's actions or inactions. You no longer need external validation because you've built your own sense of worth. You stop looking for answers from others because you found them within yourself. And that kind of independence, it's magnetic. It's powerful. It's the ultimate form of freedom. The world will try to convince you that closure is necessary, that you need to hear her explain herself or apologize to truly move on. But the truth is, closure from her will never satisfy you. It will never undo the pain, the disrespect, or the indifference she showed you. Closure from her would only keep you tied to the past, forcing you to relive moments that no longer serve you. Real closure is understanding that the chapter is over. It's recognizing that her absence isn't the end of your story, it's just the end of her role in it. It's taking control of your narrative and choosing to write a new chapter, one where you are the hero, not the victim. And when you reach that point, when you finally let go, when you finally stop needing an explanation, you don't just move on. You rise. You become stronger, wiser, untouchable. You become the kind of man who doesn't need closure because he creates his own destiny. You become the kind of man who doesn't need answers because he's too busy building a future that makes the past irrelevant. Moving on without closure isn't just a choice, it's a declaration. It's a statement to yourself and the world that you value your peace, your growth, and your happiness more than you value clinging to something that no longer serves you. It's the ultimate act of self-respect and self-love. And when you embrace that power, there's nothing and no one that can hold you back. Chapter 7: Becoming the man she regrets losing. The final stage of detachment isn't just about walking away, it's about transforming yourself into a version so powerful, so refined, that she will never have access to you again. This isn't just about healing from the past. This is about rising to a level where she can't even reach you, where she can only watch from a distance as you become the man she never deserved in the first place. This isn't about bitterness. It's about growth. You don't just move on, you evolve. You sculpt your body, channeling every ounce of pain into discipline, making yourself physically stronger, pushing past your old limits until you become someone who radiates confidence and dominance. You sharpen your mind, devouring knowledge, mastering new skills, expanding your intelligence until you operate on a completely different wavelength, one where women like her no longer matter. You build your empire, whether it's your finances, your career, or your personal ambitions, ensuring that every step forward you take is a step further away from who you used to be. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop caring, the moment you stop seeking closure, stop checking her social media, stop wondering if she thinks about you, that's when she starts noticing. That's when she feels the void you left behind. Because women don't regret losing men who beg for their attention. They regret losing men who rise without them, who become so complete in their own power that their existence no longer hinges on anyone else. When she sees you thriving, when she hears about your success, when she watches you become everything she once underestimated, that's when regret kicks in. She'll send that late-night text, that casual "how have you been" message, trying to open a door that's been sealed shut forever. But by then, it won't even matter. Not because you're trying to play some game, not because you want revenge, but because the man who once cared, the man who once wanted her to see his worth, no longer exists. He died the moment you chose yourself over her indifference. And when she finally realizes what she lost, when she understands that she let go of something rare, valuable, and irreplaceable, it won't be you who suffers. It will be her. She will be the one trapped in nostalgia, replaying moments in her mind, regretting the way she treated you. But by then, you won't even notice. Because by then, she will be nothing more than a faded memory, a life lesson, a reminder of what happens when a man wakes up, reclaims his power, and never looks back. And that's the real power of detachment. It's not about getting even, proving a point, or making her regret losing you. It's about becoming so focused on yourself, so disciplined in your mindset, that her absence stops mattering altogether. The moment you stop chasing, stop waiting, stop needing anything from her, you win. Not because she comes crawling back, but because you've evolved beyond the version of yourself that ever needed her validation in the first place. So take everything you've learned here and apply it. Don't just watch this video, live it. Let go of the woman who doesn't value you, and watch how fast your life transforms. If this resonated with you, drop a comment below. Share your story. And if you want more content like this, hit like, subscribe, and make sure to turn on notifications. Because this is just the beginning. Your next level starts now.